Kadash, giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Kadash. This is Isaiah 8, verse 20. I'm going to start this off with, right? And the title is going to be called, It's a Difference Between What You Believe and What You Know. I'm going to put that in caps. It's very important. It's a difference between what you believe and what you know. A lot of guys take what they believe and then they'll take that as knowledge of what they know, and it's not the same thing, and there's a difference, right? So Isaiah 8, verse 20 says, To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Now, whatever you run to the New Testament, whatever you come up with, your belief of the New Testament, if it does not line up with the law and the testimonies, the gospels, right, then it's not the truth. You can believe it all day, all you want, right? For example, say man can't have, some camps say man can't have multiple wives, right? Because of what the New Testament say. But if we can't find that in the testimonies and we can't find that in the Old Testament, then you got it wrong. You see what I'm saying? So you got to line up everything to that pretty much, or you got it wrong. You know, and guys do this where you see a lot of Christians, they go and they make whole doctrines up on their belief of what something says, which leads me to my next thing, right? When you debating and you going back and forth for Christians, I see brothers go wrong with this all the time, right? Where they'll go start talking about something they believe, but they'll talk about it as if they know. And it's two different things. You know, when you get in a debate, you got to be humble enough to tell a person, hey, this is just what I believe, right? I don't know this. I can't prove it. We can't prove everything we believe. If it's a guy out there saying, prove all things, and saying that they could prove this and prove that and prove everything, right? Prove all things. They going off. You cannot prove everything. There's many things in the Bible that we believe that we can't necessarily prove. You see what I'm saying? Like, I seen a guy that was arguing with some Christians, debating with them, and you know, he was kind of breaking down how that Cain was reincarnated as Esau, and he got in trouble. He got himself in trouble. Very knowledgeable brother, but he did get himself in trouble right there, because you could say you believe that, but you can't prove it. So in a debate, you really can't bring it up in a debate like that, because you can't prove it, right? Because the Christian cut him because he said that, look though, he said, but if that's the case, then Cain, right, is, he said Esau is not from Cain's seed. Esau comes from Seth's seed, which he was correct about that. So he cut him. So he said, if you do that, you're opening the door to say, you know, spiritually. And then that opened the door for the whole Christian, that they could be a spiritual Israelite thing. That opened the door for that. See, people don't understand when you say certain things and you open up certain doors that don't need to be open, then you're opening up that door to be used against your ideals or your belief. You know, so that's why you got to be humble, and you just got to stick with what you believe, right? So this is just what we believe, and I think that this is a very important thing, because if we just go off what we believe and stick with that, and we get away from trying to prove to everybody that we know what we talking about and we know this is the truth, I feel like we could focus on our thing. Christians, they gonna believe what they gonna believe. We gonna believe what we gonna believe. Jews, they gonna believe. Jewish people, they gonna believe what they gonna believe. Islam, they gonna believe what they gonna believe. We ain't got no time to be debating with them whether what we believe is true or not. We have to work that out in-house first. You see what I'm saying? So yes, there's a difference between what you know and what you believe. I've seen guys hold things over brothers because of what they believe, right? And it's the craziest thing. I'll give you an example. Like when you talk about Leviticus 19, right? It doesn't say that you can't have a hairline. So I was under oppression when I came up in the truth, is that you couldn't have hairlines. I cut off, man, I went years and years not having a hairline because I thought that, you know, listening to men, that you couldn't have a hairline. And when I did the research and I opened the book up myself, right? And that's why I said you got to speak according to what the law says. It don't say that you may not line your hair up, or it don't say that. That's an assumption. That's what you believe, right? When you go into the history of it, it's really talking about an ancient custom that the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, that they had to worship their God, right? And what they would do is they would get in a certain haircut, which you can see that they still get to this day, which is really kind of like a bald fade. right? Where when you looking at their head from like a bird's eye view, it looks like a circle on their head, like a bowl cut. That's what Leviticus 19 is talking about when it's talking about the whole lining thing, right? Because it's actually the opposite of not getting a hairline. And what they was doing is they was cutting off their linings. They was cutting off the corners and the edges. You got 2 edges in the back on each side. You got 2 edges in the back of your head, 1 on each side. They were cutting that off, which would leave their head looking like a bowl cut. And then the edges that you have at your sideburns, they were cutting those completely off bald, which made the rest of the hair on their head look like a bowl cut. So actually, they was doing the opposite of getting a hairline. A hairline ain't doing nothing but just following pretty much your natural hairlining and just sharpening it up. And there's no law against doing that. So you see brothers get in the Bible and they make up things based on what they believe, and then they hold that to be law over brothers. That's why you got to be humble. That's why we can't come together, because you got guys that are too proud and don't want to be humble enough just to see and let this thing grow to what it's going to be, because more truth is still coming out. But you got guys thinking they got 100% truth right now, which means that ain't no more truth could come out, because they already got 100%. And that's the problem. You got guys saying all type of things. You had guys saying the year 2000 is going to be. And so imagine you in the year 1994 when I was born type shit. You see what I'm saying? And you was one of the guys like, I don't think the world's going to end in the year 2000. You know, guys would have condemned you. They would have kicked you out the camp. They would have said that you was out of order. They would have said you was going off because you didn't believe in something that they believe. But it was something that they didn't know. But the Bible clearly told them that no man knows the time and the date. But they didn't want to follow that because they wanted to go off their belief. And that's what I'm saying. What you believe and what you know is 2 different things. You can say you believe with something, but you can't stand on it like that because it's just what you believe. It's a difference if you know something, right? So imagine you being around that time and you was one of the guys back then that was pretty much blacklisted, right? Probably your name slandered because you was running around telling people the world's not going to end in 2000. But everybody else is running around saying, no, the world gonna end in 2000, and your ass, you wicked. You out there teaching people that the world not gonna end in 2000. You wicked, the world's finna end. We got 120 days until the world ends, or like right now, today, like the 20th something. So we got 35 days until the world end. We got 37 days until the world end. Imagine that. And you sitting there telling them, man, I don't think that's gonna happen. The world ain't finna end. Imagine how brothers was treated. This real life events that happened to brothers. Imagine how they was treated because they wasn't going with the popular thought of that time of a certain group. You see what I'm saying? So we gotta stop. And I don't want to take like credit away from people. We got to give credit to the man that labored and did what they did. But we can't take one guy, you know, and say, oh, well, this guy was the top guy. This guy that brung this Hebrew. I used to think, I'll be honest, because why do I have to hide the Lord's truth? I don't have to hide the Lord's truth. I can speak honest. But guys will condemn you and make you feel like you can't speak up for what's true, right? Now, I came into truth thinking, okay, Abba Bivens, this whole Hebrew Israelite stuff that we got today, this all came from Abba Bivens. You know, he was Elijah reincarnated. He was John the Baptist reincarnated, and you know, he came back and brung us this. As I started doing research, I found out it was guys way before Abba Bivens that was also teaching the Hebrew Israelites, the foundation of it, that the blacks are the Hebrew Israelites. So it's like, why are we stopping there? Why not keep going back further? It was a lot of different guys that was out way before Abba Bivens that was teaching that we were the Hebrew Israelites. You go back to Nat Turner, that was doing slavery, and it was man before him teaching that always been a remnant around that was teaching that we are the Hebrew Israelites, man. The so-called blacks. And then, yeah, you could say it evolved to blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans when more truth came out. You see what I'm saying? So this is very important because that's how the man worshiping started. Well, this guy did this guy started this guy started that. When you really look in the history, you say, no, this been around. This has been around. But that's how man give themselves power. Because we gonna give this guy the credit for this, and I was under him. So then now I got a position. I got a position in the order because I came under him. So now I'm somebody. That's how man try to cling for power, man. And you see it all the time. Rather than focusing on just following the Lord to the best of your abilities and putting your faith in the Lord, man. And that's what you see. And you see it still today, man, just fighting over power. So if they not speaking according to the law and the testimonies, you know, that's because there's no light in them. So you have to watch that, man. We can say that we believe, like me, I believe the MOTB is the chip. But I don't know. I can't say I know that. So what that does is that opens the door for me to be corrected. If I'm right, I'm right. But why am I trying to get the glory? The glory, Yahweh Shai gets the glory. Then Yahweh Shai give me the glory if he deems it. But why am I trying to be right and correct? What am I trying to do? I'm trying to save face. I'm trying to save my name. I'm trying to stick it to everybody that I was right, that I proved that I was the prophet the whole time. Why? All I can say is I believe the MOTB, the physical side of it is the C-hip. But guess what? If I'm wrong, I just say that's what I believe. I don't know, but that's what I believe. Because it don't necessarily actually say that. But it's alluding to that to me. So I say that's what I believe. But guess what? It opens the door for me to be corrected, because if we find out that it wasn't that, then I could take that correction and be humble. Some brothers can't. They closing the door off and saying, no, this is what I know, this is what it is. So they can't be wrong. And then that's when we get to Ezekiel, where the Lord said, look, he gonna purge out the rebels, man. Because you're gonna have brothers that's gonna rebel against the Lord all the way to the end. Even when they told they was wrong on their understanding, they gonna rebel. And the Lord gonna get rid of them. Because what it says in Luke 19, verse 27. Lord, man, those my enemies that wish that I reign not over them, bring them here and slay them before me. And that's going to be the same with Israelites. If you pair that with Ezekiel 20, the Lord said, look, man, you going to get down or lay down. And if you ain't trying to get down with the program, you going to get Matthews 25, starting at verse 31 on down. He going to set the sheep on the right hand and the goat on the left hand. You got to get down with what the Lord said, or you're not going to make it to the kingdom, man. So you got to have a humble spirit. And having a humble spirit is you just say, look, this is what I believe. Stop trying. I see brothers get in debates all the time, and they end up, they be doing good, but then they end up, you know, taking a major blow because they want to get too far on, I'm right and I know this. Hey, this is what we believe. If you don't believe it, hey, it is what it is. We going to see. You know what I mean? I see it all the time. They run into stumbling blocks because they want to get too proud. Being humble is saying, look, man, my power comes by Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Without that, I ain't got no power. Without that, I'm nothing. That's my bubble. As long as I stay in that bubble, I got straight. King David, King Solomon wouldn't be nothing without Yahweh Shai, man. These some of the greatest men the earth had ever seen, Moses. But without Yahweh Shai, without the Heavenly Father, they're nothing. And those are the greatest men that we know. So it's the same thing with you, with me. You could be as great as you want to be, but without Yahweh Shai, you are nothing. And you have to have that mindset, and you have to always keep that mindset and be humble and have that mindset no matter what. No matter what you do, no matter where you at, you gotta know that, man. Without the Father, we are nothing. We try to do that as a people. And look what happened to us. Now we crying for the Father to send his son to save us. Now we crying, begging for it. Because we thought we could be great without them. We can't. That's where our power, that's where the spirit come from, man. So that goes back to Isaiah 8 and 20. Hey, anything outside of that, you adding to the word, you taking away from the word, you going to lose, man, every single time. Our power comes from just what this is. That's it. Follow that to the best of your abilities until the Lord come back. And then there's no need for no temple, because we could get that sun and that moonlight, which is wisdom and knowledge. We could get that directly from the Lord when he comes back, man. As of right now, we just in a state of belief until we see how it's all going to go down to the best of your abilities. You know, stop acting like for some reason you smarter than the men of old, the apostles and the disciples, or you got more knowledge than them. You don't. You ain't got more faith than them, and we not as strong. We're not as strong of man as those men were during their time. Stop the bullshit, man. Ain't none of y'all gonna wrestle no lion. What did King David wrestle? A lion and a bear? Ain't none of us gonna do that today. Ain't none of us gonna sign up to do that today, bro. Ain't none of us gonna get in a lion's den. Ain't none of us going. stand to be put to death over not eating swine. We'll say it, but guess what? We finna see. We gonna see who got that faith or not. We gonna see. You know, so that's just having a humble spirit, man. You must keep a humble spirit. That's very important. Keeping up. And I got a humble spirit, man. I don't try to be a king over brothers and I'm ranked higher than you. I mean, I just seen, oh my goodness, bro. I done seen guys come into the truth. I'm talking about you had all this rank over brothers and then the dude fall out the truth. You let this man have all this rank, tell you what to do, follow a man of commandments for this certain man to find out. And then what if he not even the elect? What if he going off and he wicked? What if he fall out? You see what I'm saying? And me being humbled enough to know that the Lord could take any of our candles. I'm not trying to be king over you, bruh. If I get elected to be king, that's because the Lord elected me to do it. Not myself or me trying to get brothers to come together to look up to me and then elect me as king. You got guys running around saying they Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Ben Yahweh said the same thing. You got guys running around saying they the top man on earth that earth has ever seen. When Moses walked the earth, King David walked the earth, King Solomon walked the earth, Yahweh Shai walked the earth. But they the greatest man that. You got guys claiming everything, bro. You got guys that's been the leader of their camp for 30 years. When is you going to pass the torch to the next guy? Oh, you can't do that, huh? That's the greed, man. That's the power that goes to brothers' head because they may start off sincere, but then the competition, but you only as good as your foundation. So if you starting off from like a One West foundation, then you already starting off for something that was corrupt, that we know was corrupt. Something that we know was off. Something that we know that was wicked. You already starting off from that foundation, man. So you always gonna be stuck in, you only as good as your foundation. So you always gonna be stuck on that until you can break out of that, right? And then you can follow the light. You can follow Yahweh Shai rather than following man. So that's what makes it a tough thing. With that, I'm gonna say salvation to the elect. Shalom.